time to give the people what they want. It's Jalen and Jacoby.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN2 and ESPN Radio. What do we do?
We get the people what they want.
You know who gives the people what they want? Jerry Rice gives the people what they want. We found out from The Ringer, shout out to Kevin Clark, that Jerry Rice, he likes to golf. And, you know, he's rich. So he golfs at where rich people golf, resorts and big hotels and fancy places where they cater to you. And who else happens to be celebrating on the weekends at these type of places? Couples that are getting married. Jerry Rice crashes at least one wedding a week. Jerry Rice is a habitual wedding crasher. Your thoughts on Mr. Rice's secret life as a wedding crasher?
I have a couple of thoughts when you bring up his name, because recently when we talked about the behavior of Odell Beckham Jr. and Antonio Brown's behavior on the sideline, we relegate ourselves to say, oh, all wide receivers are divas. No, they're not. The greatest one of all time wasn't and isn't. But however, him crashing weddings is totally hilarious to me.
I love it.
Because this is inadvertently like a David Jacoby move. And here's what I mean. David Jacoby loves Fridays, in particular the last topic, because he has a lovely wife and a house full of kids, and he's not rushing home.
I like to
So
celebrate.
for Jerry Rice, this sounds to me, and I would love to be corrected if I'm wrong, a gentleman is playing golf all day, and he has nobody to go home to. And Jerry Rice married these days, have a girlfriend?
He hears the music playing. He hears the celebrations. He's looking around at some of the dresses. And he's like, I want to be a part of that. And you know what? They're going to let me be a part of that because I am Jerry Rice. I have some questions, though, because this is obviously a boss move. But if you pack a suit so you will crash the wedding later knowing that, is premeditated wedding crashing a soft move?
I'm going to tell you why it's a soft move. A couple of reasons why. You call what he's doing a boss move. Number one, thirst trapping at people's weddings ain't a boss move.
I like it. We have no evidence that he is thirst trapping. All of the anecdotes were about how nice he is and how he took pictures and how he's on the dance floor doing his Dancing with the Stars thing. Uh-oh. Take us behind the curtain, Mr. Rose.
He's like, wait a minute, somebody's getting married. That means there could be some nice-looking, dressed-up individuals that are going to be there to participate. And ultimately, they're in the party mood.
Yeah, we know one of them is taken, but the rest of them, who knows?
No question. And the other thing, here's the deal. And you correct me if I'm wrong. So you go golf all day, you carry your clothes, and instead of going to the crib and remixing and getting ready for the night, you shower?
No, he showers. I think he showers there at the resort and then brings his own wedding attire. I don't know the logistics of all of this, but I absolutely love it. And there is nothing better than this quote. There was a young couple, they got married. Jerry Rice showed up at the wedding, took some pictures, and here's what the bride had to say about the experience. Quote, "The best was when my mother-in-law was kissing Jerry Rice.
See?
My husband went over to his dad and said, 'Dad, Mom is kissing Jerry Rice.' And Dad just nodded and said, 'It's okay.'"
See, this is cultural, no doubt. No question. I told you, because think about this. He's at the wedding kissing somebody. Doesn't even matter if she's in a relationship with somebody else.
The mother of the bride. It was probably just a kiss on the cheek, let's be honest. But she probably held it too long. You know, it was probably a kiss on the cheek that she kind of like stayed there too long with. It was like, what's going on?
She didn't say gave a kiss. She said kissing.
If my wife is kissing Jerry Rice, we got a problem. It's not okay. It's not okay, Jerry Rice. Not okay, Amari Stoudemire. It's not okay. Jerry, come on now. I love this story so much. I want to get remarried just so Jerry Rice can show up at my wedding. So if Jerry Rice shows up at your wedding, Jalen Rose, you're like, okay, cool, fine, let him in. But what if they say it's Jerry Rice and one other person? You're like, okay. How many people is Jerry Rice allowed to bring to your wedding uninvited?
Jerry +1.
It's Jerry +1. He got 2 of his homeboys. You golf with like 3 other people. If it's Jerry Rice plus his golfing buddies, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm sorry, Mr. Rice. We'll take a picture with you outside. I really appreciate that you came by, but nah, I'm not going to be able to do it. You can't get it.
You the GOAT and everything, and I got a chance to kick it with you at ESPN, but you +1.
Your homeboys? No. Every year before the NBA season starts, they have a survey where they survey all the GMs and they release the results. There's 47 questions on the survey. Some of them are more predictable than others. You know, the majority of the GMs think the Warriors are going to win the title and LeBron James is the MVP favorite. But some of the other ones that we're going to discuss are a little more interesting, could go different ways. You haven't seen this. We've discussed this. You're probably cheating, but I'm going to let you do it anyway. Who do you think the GMs selected as the Rookie of the Year?
I don't have a rundown on purpose because I didn't want you to think I was cheating.
You never have a rundown.
Lonzo Ball, because once Jeannie Buss says he's the most hyped player we've had since Magic Johnson, once Irvin, the Hall of Fame mogul, says, I expect to see your number in the rafters, once LeVar Ball says he's better than Steph Curry, oh, everybody listens.
If I'm Ben Simmons, I'm like, oh, you forgot about Dre? Like, what happened here? Oh, you forgot about me? LeBron James, you remember him? He signed me up. He's already christened me. Do you remember me? Remember the 6'10" point guard? I'm picking Ben Simmons in that. Next, they have the biggest NBA draft steal. This one's a little trickier. I know you're on the spot. Who do you think the GMs think the best NBA draft steal is in this weird category?
The biggest draft steal.
Weird category. We're going with it.
That is a weird category because...
Let's move on. Dennis Smith Jr. It's pretty good. You know, he got picked pretty late. It was a good steal.
I like that one, Dallas Mavs. And don't be surprised if not only he participates but win this year's dunk contest.
Oh, I think so too. Now, this one's a little trickier. Who do you think GMs said they would start a franchise with? Let me just say before you answer, this was a close race. 29% was the winner, which means there's a lot of other people that were voted on. So 29% of GMs think that this person is the best player to start a franchise with.
So this is one of those answers that a lot of people want to be the smartest person in the room.
Definitely amongst GMs, too.
And they don't want to state the obvious, which is LeBron James.
Yeah, LeBron James. He'll be fine for 5 years. You can start a franchise. Free agents will come play with LeBron because he's LeBron.
Or it could be Kevin Durant. But since people want to be the smartest person in the room, it's got to be Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That's probably a better answer than the GM's answer of Karl Anthony Towns. They also voted Mr. Towns as the best center in the league and most likely to have a breakout season. I watched him in that pregame. I was like, on the preseason game, I was like, this dude, like he hits threes like casually. He hits threes like he's meant to. And finally, they voted this man to be not just the winner of the best defensive player of the year, but also the best perimeter player, which I found interesting.
Kawhi Leonard.
Best perimeter player? Best perimeter player in the National Basketball Association? I can think of some other names that come to mind, like the people that beat him in the MVP race, or I don't know, the champion Steph Curry.
This is one of those things where you start talking about best two-way player. That's really where we're going here. We're talking about a player that's going to be one of the top 2 or 3 players overall MVP-wise, and then one of the guys that's going to be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year.
I would respect Kawhi Leonard's game so much more if he wasn't so boring. That's really what it is for me. I'm shallow. You know, I like the drama. I would respect his game more if he was a more interesting human being. I'm just going to say it out loud into a microphone because that's how I really feel. Would you respect it more
if his braids didn't look 2 weeks old each time you see him?
No. When we come back on Jalen and Jacoby, I'm going to slander LeVar Ball. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN2. Alexandra.
A-Dot.
Ms. Morgan. Number 13. World Cup champ.
Alex.
At the happiest place on earth. If you don't know
Disney.
what we're getting at this. World Cup superstar. Alex Morgan, one of the most recognizable faces in soccer, was enjoying her time at Disney World. Full disclosure, we are owned by a Disney company. And she posted this picture of herself at Disney World with all of her friends with the caption, "Annual around the world in 8 hours, no big." Okay, I've only been at Disney World once when I was a child. However, we have a staff that has lived in the area and they may or may not have done around the world and has educated us as to what this means.
Reggie?
It is going to all 11 countries in the Epcot world and having an adult beverage in each one of those different countries. So for those of you doing the math, that has 11 adult beverages in a short amount of time, which leads to extreme intoxication, which in this case led to Alex and all the people that she was with being escorted out of Disney World. Now, Jalen, Disney World is the happiest place on earth.
Yes.
Disney World is a place for Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, for rides and games and wonder and amusement and really good customer service and smiling people everywhere. Disney World is not the place to get slammered with 11 drinks in a few hours. It just doesn't seem right. Just Disney World responsibly, Alex Morgan. What do you think she was doing here?
It clearly weren't any kids with them.
No. I think there's one baby in that picture. I've done deep research on this. There's one dude holding a baby up like Simba in the picture at one point. I don't think the baby had any adult beverages.
That's the key. When you have multiple adults at a place where it's usually designed for young people to enjoy themselves, all of the adults have to do is get on and off rides and have beverages.
Here's the thing.
And before you know it, you're like, let's try something.
A pack of adults at Disney World, you got to be wary of them. You know what I mean? If you're a parent and you see a pack of 5 or 6 adults in a Disney property, steer clear. Steer the stroller clear
You're like,
a little bit.
they're going to find some trouble.
Steer the stroller away from them. Exactly. Like, you've got some bad intentions if you're there. You're probably going around the world like Alex Morgan. But here's one thing. That was obviously a soft move. But here's something that's a little weirder. There are reports, the deputy said, that Morgan was also said to have shouted that she, quote, knew the Orlando SWAT team as she was being escorted away by police. So you're being escorted out of Disney World by police, and you're name dropping that you know the SWAT team? Soft move or boss move?
That's a soft move, especially in an era where we've had unfortunate incidents and tragedies that have taken place.
In Orlando.
Not only in Florida, but in Las Vegas. And so it's just one of those tone-deaf things. I'm not going to pile on too much because they were having a good time enjoying adult beverages. They were at Disneyland, and we appreciate the fact that they were patronizing the company that pays us.
Of course. Let's move on before we get in trouble or fired. So, Jalen, one thing you always say in this show is that you will not stand any LeVar Ball slander.
I will not.
I have slandered LeVar Ball on multiple occasions that you just haven't noticed. Sometimes you're here, sometimes you're not. But I'm about to slander LeVar Ball right now. Because the last time we were talking about LeVar Ball, you have to listen, Jalen. You have to defend your guy. The last time we were talking about LeVar Ball, we were talking about how he was pulling his child out of high school, LaMelo, and he was going to educate LaMelo himself, homeschool. He's going to train him for his future basketball career in college and eventually the NBA. Totally understandable. You know, I'm not going to tell someone else how to parent their children. Fine, whatever. However, there's new information. The Los Angeles Times has confirmed from the superintendent of Chino Hills High that one of the reasons LeVar Ball is so upset with the administration is because he's tried to stock the basketball team with 4 or 5 children that do not go to the high school, and those children, those students, were not allowed to play on the basketball team. LeVar got angry and then pulled his child. Even after learning this information, Mr. Rose, are you going to still continue to ride for your guy, LeVar Ball?
I actually thought you were going to say something a lot deeper than that. First and foremost, coaches in high schools do this really frequently. And there's a legal ramification to actually do things like this. They're called, trade schools?
Okay.
Where normally, instead of being from that city, being from that province, being from that state, you create a school that's actually not literally an academic institution, and you turn that into a place where young people go and play basketball or their sense of trade. So I'm not so up in arms about that. I was more thinking that you were going to go with when he was asked about finding people to play with for his son LaMelo. He was like, I find pros, I find JUCOs, I find all types of people in the hood.
Yeah, he said, I'm going to go to the hood. I'm going to go to the hood and find all those people there.
And then he said they don't want to learn. That's when I was like, oh.
LeVar. You know what you just did? You just slandered LeVar Ball
No,
on your
I
own
didn't,
program.
because
Yes, you
he's
did. Yes, you did.
the
I caught you.
games,
I caught you.
Signing
I
autographs,
caught you.
taking selfies.
I caught you.
Keep
I
getting
caught
them
you.
checks.
I caught you.
Hey, I got some advice. I got a question, too, for this program.
Uh-oh.
Hey, LeVar.
Darrell Revis, what are you doing?
Will you adopt me? I still got another year of college eligibility.
Yeah, you're not retired from the pros either. But what if he's like, yeah, sure, I'll adopt you, but you have to wear big Brawler brand sneakers all the time. Not gonna be able to do it. Moving on, Jeremy Lin has a long history of terrible hairstyles, and he's going to continue that history this year. Being wary of being accused of cultural appropriation because he now has a dreadlock hairstyle. He wrote an essay that was very thoughtful on the Players Tribune about, the research that he did about the hairstyle and this and that. So he's cleared himself of cultural appropriation. But to get down to it, we don't need a long essay on the Players Tribune. Just a very quick question to you, Mr. Rose. Are dreadlocks cultural?
They're not.
Thank you.
And the one thing I want to point out about Jeremy Lin, when you get back to the origin of where he started and he came out of nowhere and it was Linsanity, he represented a sense of normalcy as it related to his look and his outfit. All of a sudden, after a few teams and a couple of checks, he's gotten two things that I see distinctly on his hands. Too much time and too much money.
It's a great point. I only wish I was afflicted with the same. When we come back on Jalen and Jacoby, CP3 is so disrespectful to Andre Roberson. So disrespectful.
He with us.
Leonardo DiCaprio reportedly flew an eyebrow specialist from Australia to do his eyebrows for the Oscars.
Oh, that's a boss move. If my barber's in Los Angeles and I'm going to Bristol, Connecticut for a book tour, I'm flying him as well.
You did not do that.
Yes, indeed.
You did that in real life?
I did, sir.
That is ridiculous. Don't say that again on wax.
I was in New
You're
York
embarrassing the both
doing
of us.
multiple interviews
Embarrassed to be on the same logo as
on
you.
one day.
Yeah, no one else can get your hairline straight in New York City. None of those 12 million people.
Familiarity.
I've never said this to you before. You have too much money. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN2. Jalen Rose, what you're about to witness is one of the more disrespectful things that I've seen in a preseason game on a basketball court in the National Basketball Association. Take a look at how Chris Paul defends Andre Roberson.
Hell no! Come here.
Andre Roberson is taking a professional basketball player, a wing player, taking a three-point attempt. Chris Paul doesn't leave the paint, just waves at him and then screams, hell nah. I rooted for that ball to go in so hard. Didn't even touch the rim. Do you feel bad for Roberson when this happens?
I do not. He just got a new deal in the offseason. He's a terrible three-point shooter. He's a worse free throw shooter. And what CP3 was doing was planting a seed to hopefully create a harvest. Because during the offseason, the MVP, Russell Westbrook, saw his team, and by the way, Sam Presti, GM of the year, of the decade. By the way, he's parlayed his roster. Added Paul George, added Carmelo Anthony. But at the end of games, Robertson's going to be one of the people on the floor with Adams. So based on that, he's already putting it out there. He's got to be the person that's got to make the big shot, whether it's at the beginning of the game, but more importantly, late in games.
It's always the playoff series when it really comes out. It's when you see the same team over and over and over again. At some point, they're like, not only can this dude not shoot threes, he can't shoot free throws. He doesn't want to drive to the basket. He doesn't want to stay in the perimeter. And because I'm a very sensitive person, you know that about me, I just feel so bad for him. I just want the ball to go in so bad, and it just doesn't. It just makes me feel so lonely and scared and emotional about Andre Roberson.
He should maybe try from the free throw line, do the Rick Barry underhand. Maybe the Bruce Lee Kung Fu kick, the ball into the hoop. But he's going to have to do something because they're going to need his offense because he's definitely a lockdown defender. Did a terrific job on James Harden every time he plays against him.
The addition of Paul George does make him a little less necessary to be on the floor because Paul George is also a great defender. But when you look at the Thunder roster, there's no one else to put in. So there you go, Mr. Robertson. Welcome to wide open threes at the end of big games.
He with us.
Then we have this. This was on Sunday, but it was brought to our staff's attention today.
Open for a reason.
The Philadelphia Eagles were at the line of scrimmage. You know how The quarterback does his pre-snap reads and looks right and left and sees the defense. And sometimes they audible to a different play. And they communicate this to their teammates by yelling things like Omaha is a famous one from Peyton Manning. Well, this time, Carson Wentz is at the line. He yells, 420, 420. And you know what the play was?
LeGarrette.
A run to LeGarrette Blount. Is that a failed test for LeGarrette?
No, because I think he's already in the program.
Oh, he's in the program.
Him in that situation with Le'Veon Bell a couple of years ago got him released by the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
And then led to him going to the Patriots where he led the NFL in touchdowns. And then now parlayed that into playing with the Philadelphia Eagles, who, by the way, I was watching them play, especially without Sproles, like, why they don't give LeGarrette the ball?
Here's another thing.
And they finally did it this past weekend.
You mentioned the Steelers, but the Steelers tried to institute this. Everyone would think they're getting the ball. You know, if Ben Roethlisberger was like 420, Le'Veon Bell's like, oh, we got a running back. Yeah, Martavis goes into motion, and Andre Brown runs around, and then they'd all just be like, what's going on? The linemen start to stand up, like, what? Huh? Do I get the ball too? I have a new favorite player in the National Basketball Association. You know I'm a Die Easy fan, not just of teams, but also of players.
Lance isn't going to like this.
My guy, Milos Teodosic. I love him so much. You know my game, Jalen. You know there's nothing I love more than an unnecessarily fancy pass. I love fancy passes, especially when they're unnecessary.
Jalen Jacoby play rec ball, he's behind the back bounce pass at least once a game.
Once a possession. Once a possession. And then we have this from...
he's going to be a good rookie, but no.
Teodosic is not going to be a good rookie. He's going to be the most valuable player of the NBA. We'll be back tomorrow.